I want to tell you about a man who found the reason to keep living inside a place built to strip every reason away. If you've ever lain awake wondering what the point of any of this is, this one's for you. Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist in Vienna, mid-30s, already building theories about what actually makes a human life worth living. Then, in 1942, the Nazis deported him and his entire family to a concentration camp. By the time the war ended, his wife, his parents, his brother, gone. He survived 4 different camps, including Auschwitz. And somewhere in that horror, instead of just enduring it, he kept doing the one thing he'd always done. He watched people. Not out of coldness, out of habit. He was a scientist even while he was a prisoner, and what he saw down there became one of the most important books of the 20th century. Here's the setup. Strip away everything from a person. Their family, their name, their clothes, their food, any certainty they'll be alive tomorrow. What's left? Frankl watched thousands of men reduced to exactly that. And he noticed something the guards never predicted. The men who survived weren't the strongest, or the healthiest, or even the luckiest. Survival tracked with something else entirely. Whether a man still had a reason to see tomorrow. He tells the story of prisoners who lost their why. A man stops shaving, stops trying to trade his last crust of bread for anything, just lies down in his own filth and refuses to move. Within days, he's dead. Not from illness, from surrender. Frankl watched this happen over and over, fast enough that the other prisoners could almost predict it. The body doesn't just give out. It gets permission. And then there were the others. Frankl himself, marching through the freezing dark on a work detail, half-starved, beaten down, and he catches himself thinking about his wife, not knowing if she's alive, just picturing her face, holding an imagined conversation with her in his head. And he writes that in that moment, for the first time, he understood something scholars had written about for centuries, that love is the ultimate way one human being can save another, even if only in memory, even if only in the mind. He wasn't warm, he wasn't fed, but for those minutes, he had a reason. Here's where the book stops being a memoir and becomes a manual. Frankl builds an entire branch of psychology out of what he lived through. He calls it Logotherapy, which is just Greek for healing through meaning. And his core discovery, the one line everyone quotes and almost nobody actually applies, is this: it's not about what you want from life. It's about what life is asking of you right now, today, and whether you're willing to answer. Flip the question around, he says, and everything changes. You stop waiting for happiness to arrive and start asking what this exact moment, however miserable, requires of you. He points to 3 places you can find that meaning. 1, through work, through doing something, creating something, contributing something that only you can contribute. 2, through love, through really seeing another person and being seen. And 3, the one that stops people cold, through suffering itself when it's unavoidable. Not suffering for its own sake. He's clear about that. But when pain can't be removed, the way you carry it becomes its own form of meaning. He borrows a line from Nietzsche that became the spine of his whole philosophy. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Sit with that for a second, because it's not comfort food advice, it's a mechanism. Frankl says 2 prisoners can suffer the identical horror. Same camp, same hunger, same freezing barracks, and one gives up while the other survives. And the difference isn't the suffering. It's whether they've attached a reason to it. He talks about a prisoner who had a manuscript, a life's work of scientific research, confiscated and destroyed on his first day in the camp. And instead of breaking, the man decided he would reconstruct the entire thing from memory, scribbling notes on stolen scraps of paper whenever he could. His work became his reason to survive the day. Meaning didn't need permission, and this is the part of the book that should genuinely unsettle you, because Frankl doesn't let this stay in the past tense. After the war, he starts noticing the exact same emptiness in his patients. Successful people, comfortable people, people with nothing obviously wrong with their lives, who feel like something is missing anyway. He calls it the existential vacuum. And he says it shows up as three things: depression, aggression, and addiction. Not because life is too hard for these people, because life has gotten too easy, too automated, too without a why, and a human being without a why doesn't quietly relax into comfort. Something in us starts eating itself. Look around at your own life for a second. How much of what passes for stress right now is actual survival pressure, and how much of it is just the quiet dread of not knowing what any of it is for? Frankl would say, those are two completely different problems, and we keep trying to solve the second one by numbing it instead of answering it. The last freedom, he says, and this is the line that outlived the camps, that turned a survivor's memoir into a philosophy textbook, is this: everything can be taken from a person except one thing. The freedom to choose your attitude in any given set of circumstances. They took his home, his family, his name, his profession, his clothes. They could not take the inside of his own mind. What he decided to think, in the middle of all of it, remained entirely his. That's the whole book, compressed. Meaning over happiness. A why that can carry any how. And the one freedom that survives everything else. The choice of how you respond. If this hit you, go read the actual book. It's short, it's devastating, and no summary, mine included, replaces sitting with his actual words for a few hours. And then ask yourself the question he'd ask you. Not what do I want from my life, but what is my life asking of me today? Go answer it.